Hello everyone, welcome back from the NFL video. In this video, I'll be giving my standings predictions for the NFC North in the 2022 NFL season. So let's get into it. At number 4, I have the Chicago Bears. The Bears had a new head coach, Matt Eberflus. He was the defensive coordinator for the Colts. Their previous head coach was Matt Nagy, who was an offensive guy, but this past year was really bad, and the Bears' offense was really bad. He got fired as expected, and now they're heading in a new direction. Traded Khalil Mack as well. So getting into their offense, they have Justin Fields as QB. I don't really see him taking a huge step this year, honestly. I think he is still going to be better than he is now at some point, but I don't think he's going to put it all together this year. I think that he is good, but maybe not yet. Maybe he'll just be stuck on a bad team. I think he'll be better than Trubisky. I think he's more talented than Trubisky was. So we'll see what direction he does go in, but I don't see him taking a huge step this year. David Montgomery is the running back. I think he's a good running back. Khalil Herbert's the backup. Last year when Montgomery went down, Khalil Herbert stepped in and played pretty well. But then when Montgomery came back, Damian Williams, who they had last year, who is on the Falcons now, Damian Williams, kind of took those running back 2 touches away from Khalil Herbert. So this year he'll be the running back 2 again, Khalil Herbert, that is. And then Darnell Mooney, they picked up Byron Pringle Jr. They picked up Equanimeous St. Brown. They drafted Velvis Jones Jr. They got a lot of new guys. N'Keal Harry they just traded for recently as I'm making this video. Tajay Sharp is new. Daz Newsome is new. Dante Pettis is new. David Moore is new. In the tight end position, Cole Kmet is a good young tight end. They brought in Ryan Griffin, brought in James O'Shaughnessy. That the passing offense isn't going to be very good. They brought in a lot of veterans that kind of have either underperformed in previous opportunities or kind of just aren't very good. I don't think Fields has that many weapons to work with. I don't think that passing offense is going to do anything special. Darnell Mooney is good, but besides that, I think you're gonna miss a lot. And I think Darnell Mooney, I think he can be a wide receiver 1 also, but he has to prove that. He was kind of last year the wide receiver 1. Allen Robinson wasn't as productive and was injured. And Cole Kmet is a good young tight end, as I already mentioned. They picked up Kari Blasingame from the Titans, I'm sorry. And the O-line, Tevin Jenkins missed the entire season last year, but I really liked him as a prospect. Cody Whitehair's their left guard. They lost their right guard, James Daniels, to Pittsburgh. Lucas Patrick center, right guard, Willie Wright, and right tackle Larry Barham. Those last 3 guys I've never heard of in my life. So actually, I have heard of Lucas Patrick. I think he came from Green Bay. The O-line isn't very good. It was a big problem for them last year. I don't think it'll improve at all. Yeah, as I mentioned on their offense, I think they can run the ball well. I feel like Montgomery, even though he had a down year last year, I feel like Montgomery is still up there in the league. Maybe a top 10, definitely top 15 running back. Darnell Mooney is bright spot. This offense, you don't see many bright spots at all. Even if Tevin Jenkins develops well and is true rookie year, this is true rookie year. He hasn't played at all in the league. Even if he does, then you still have a pretty bad O-line. And now your offensive play caller is an offensive coordinator instead of your head coach, which Matt Nagy was the head coach calling plays last year. So I don't think a defensive hiring at head coach helped them at all. Getting to defense, they brought in Al-Qadim Muhammad from the Colts. He was good last year. They traded Khalil Mack for not much, as I mentioned. They brought in Justin Jones from the Chargers, though. Kairos Tonga is unproven 7th round pick last year from that Chicago drafted. Robert Quinn had a huge year last year. After his down year in 2020, it was kind of looking like he'd be a bust signing, but he did his thing last year. Kind of forgotten about how well he actually played last year, because a lot of people talk about Micah Parsons, T.J. Watt, Max Crosby, Nick Bosa. People don't remember how good Robert Quinn was last year. They brought in Nicholas Morrow from the Raiders. He missed all of last year, but he is a good linebacker. He's a good coverage linebacker also, I will say. Watching him play in 2020. Roquan Smith is one of the best middle linebackers in the game, and he's still young also. The defense already has some bright spots, as I mentioned. Not much else at linebacker, really. Matt Adams is another guy they have. Getting into their secondary, They have Eddie Jackson, who I don't think was as good last year as he, usually is. They drafted Jaquan Prisker from Penn State. I really like him. He was my safety 2 in the class. He's good. Jalen Johnson is proven to be a corner 1, a good corner 1. They also drafted Kyler Gordon, brought in Tavon Young. Duke Shelley is also there. Kendall, Vildor, 2 guys they had last year, kind of, both starting, at some points in the season. But yeah, on defense, they're definitely more talented on defense. I feel like the Bears fans, with all respect, I feel like they are kind of delusional. Now, if their team does do anything at all next year, it's going to be because of their defense. Their defense is still good. They have a defensive guy now. Matt Eberflus with the Colts is a good defensive coordinator. I kind of expect him to get a job, in December when some more head coach stuff, more head coach interviews are piling up. I expect him to get a job somewhere, and he did with Chicago. So I think their defense will have no problem. Their defensive line definitely downgraded though, losing Khalil Mack, losing Bilal Nichols. I don't see their run game being as strong. Their linebackers I don't see being as good besides Roquan Smith. And their secondary, they added some nice pieces, Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, but I don't see this defense being that good. Maybe they'll be the same gritty Bears defense as some past years, and maybe can lead that team to some extra wins. But besides that, I don't have the Bears doing good next year at all. Third up, the Detroit Lions. A lot of good offseason moves. You can say, last year I feel like they helped build the culture of trying to get those guys like competing to win games. That's what they got already in the first year. Their new head coach Dan Campbell. Well, last year was his first year, and they now need to put some more pieces out there. They need to get some guys that know how to win. They got Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan, Jameson Williams from Alabama. They already we're a team that, even though we weren't very good last year, for some teams, a lot of teams, the Vikings, the Ravens, a bunch of other teams, the Lions are not an easy out. They already learned how to compete. Last year, this year, they have to try to learn how to win actually and keep that up. They have Jared Goff at QB. I think more of a bridge guy, but they're going to keep keeping him for now. DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams at running back. Good duo. Amon-Ra St. Brown was actually really good last year as a rookie. And Quintez Cephas is a young receiver also. They brought in DJ Chark on a really good deal. They drafted Jameson Williams, who they traded up with a division rival to get. And they have TJ Hawkinson at tight end, who, even though suffered a season-ending injury last year, is still a near the top 5 of tight ends in my opinion, and maybe even in the top 5. And the O-line, I feel like their O-line has been respected. I don't think it's underrated. I think people have mentioned that their O-line is actually good. Penei Sewell, right tackle, is very good. However, right guard Halapudi Vaitai is kind of overpaid and not very good. Center Frank right now is good. Jonah Jackson, left guard, could be better, but he's still a good option. And left tackle Taylor Decker is also really good. So their offense, they have a good offensive line. I think their running game hasn't been very good the last couple of years, but they at least have the pieces to improve it. And then the passing game, I think, has what they need. I feel like Jameson Williams won't be as productive with Jared Goff throwing the ball, because I don't really think Jared Goff is a very good deep passing QB. But he's a great future piece. DJ Chark, he's on a 1-year prove-it deal because he got hurt last year on Jacksonville. But if he can prove it, he's back to his original form. Maybe they'll give him a new deal, and maybe he'll be back to his ways. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is only in his second year, and did some great things in year 1. So I think their offense should have some upside next year. On defense, Romeo Okwara and Julian Okwara are, I'm not sure if they're actually brothers or if that's just a joke. I think they are actually brothers, but they're the rushers on the edge. Maybe I think they run a 3-4 actually, but they have Aiden Hutchinson now. If they run a 3-4, based off what I've scouted of him, he can do both outside backer and defensive end. I think he'd be a better defensive end than outside linebacker though. But then that's still 2 very good options to rush the QB: Romeo Okwara and Aiden Hutchinson, who I think was the best player in the whole class last year. And then Michael Brockers, traded from the Rams. Liam McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike, 2 pickups I liked in the draft last year. Now, their linebackers aren't very good. Alex Anzalone, Chris Board. Derek Barnes is not bad, I guess. He was a rookie last year, more of like a rush, I think, linebacker. They drafted Josh Pascal, which is kind of confusing to me. I don't really know where he's going to play. Even if he's playing defensive end or outside linebacker, he doesn't really have a starting job right now. And they drafted him pretty high, 2nd round, so we'll see what happens there. At the corner position, Amani Oriwari, I haven't mentioned anyone talk about him this offseason, but he had a really good year last year. I didn't even know who he was in that 2019 class, but now he's probably the best corner from that class. Deshaun Elliott, they signed from the Ravens. I don't even know he was still a free agent when they signed him. Actually, I heard that he was a free agent not long before that, but he had a really good, not really good, but he was a good safety with the Ravens. And then, Tracy Walker, they gave a 3-year, $25 million extension to. He's solid for the Lions. Jeff Okudah, he's like the definition of a prove it year. Year one, hurt, didn't do good. Year two, hurt right away after giving up a touchdown right away anyway. So, not looking good there. They tried Mike Hughes. He wasn't that bad on the Chiefs last year. And then they got Curry Joseph, who I like from Illinois. I think he can be a versatile safety. But yeah, the Lions defense, I think, is going to improve rushing the QB a lot. And they already have one playmaker back there in the secondary. If Okudah pans out, they would have a very good corner duo back there. Tracy Walker, Deshaun Elliott isn't a very bad duo either, but a lot of these guys are veterans or one-year deal kind of guys. On that defense, a linebacker room, inside linebacker to be specific, definitely needs to improve. Defensive tackle could improve if some of these guys don't step up. If William McNeil isn't as good as a nose tackle as they want him to be, or Michael Brockers, he is kind of up there in age. I think he's already above 30, but yeah, I think the Lions, I'm not very confident saying this, that they will be above the Bears because, it's the Lions. You don't really trust the Lions, but I think the Bears are heading in either the same direction as they already were last year or down. I think the Lions are at least heading up to at least, 4 or 5 or 6 wins. I think 6 wins is a stretch, but yeah, at least you can say for sure added some cornerstone pieces on offense and defense. I like their offseason, and I am rooting for them. Second, I have the Minnesota Vikings, who are definitely a team that has to win now. They have had a good roster the past couple of years and have choked their expectations. New head coach as well, Mike Zimmer. I know he said his thing about Kirk Cousins right before he got fired, or maybe it was right after he got fired. I think it was after, but he was he didn't make enough game-winning plays. But it's you ran the defense for how many years, and it was really good at first when he was there. I was actually a big fan of Mike Zimmer and that Vikings defense back in 2017. But then the defense went bad, and he had multiple years to fix it and didn't fix it. So you can't blame the QB when the head coach who runs the defense didn't fix the defense. But anyway. This year they have to get it done. I mean, they have the offense, they have the defense. Their team on paper is, I'd say underrated, but their actual team, I think it's properly rated. I think you have to be careful when you expect the Vikings to do good, similar to the Dolphins. But on their offense, Kirk Cousins at the QB spot, he's still a good QB. He's arguably top 10. I don't care how much slander he gets. He's a very good QB. Dalvin Cook is a really good running back. He might be more involved in the passing game this year from what I've heard. Alexander Madison is more than capable enough to be a backup running back, maybe even a starter. Ken Nwangwu, Ty Chandler, some of the guys there are some of the other guys there. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne. KJ Osborne broke out last year. They drafted Jalen Naylor late in the draft. They got Albert Wilson from the Dolphins. Yeah, that trio is pretty good. Justin Jefferson can argue, arguably right now is the second best receiver in the league. Arguably, he's very good. Adam Thielen's, he's getting up there in age, but his production is still staying pretty high. That's good for them. Good for him and the Vikings. KJ Osborne had a breakout year, as I mentioned. Irv Smith Jr. is an interesting piece. After Kyle Rudolph left, Irv Smith's first years kind of was, just chilling there, not really doing much. But now, or last year when Kyle Rudolph went to the Giants, Irv Smith had his big opportunity, but unfortunately got injured. Hopefully this year, he starts the whole year. 2019 pickup from Alabama in the draft. On the O-line, also CJ Ham is a good fullback. On the O-line, Christian Darrisaw, left tackle, was a very good steal. That was one of the best picks in the first round last year, I think. They traded back 10 spots, and they still got him, even when I thought they'd get him at the spot where they traded back. Urza Cleveland, left guard. Wyatt Davis is another guard that they have that's young. Ed Ingram, another guard they drafted from this year from LSU. Jesse Davis is a right guard. I think he used to be a tackle with the Dolphins. I don't think he's very good. Garrett Bradbury as a center. I don't think he's been doing very good in the league. I haven't heard that much great things about him. I heard that his job is maybe up for grabs. Like I don't know who Austin Schwabman is, but Austin. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but I think and then Brian O'Neill is one of the best, not one of the best, one of the most underrated tackles in the league. I'm tripping up on my grammar, but the Vikings O-line has been one of the pieces that's underperformed in the past years. But I think that it has a good tackle duo. It has good backup guard options, Wyatt Davis and Ed Ingram. I think Ed Ingram should start over Jesse Davis, to be honest. But their offense, they should run the ball well. Passing the ball, I mean, this offense is pretty hard to stop if you think about it. I mean, I like their new offensive play caller, the Rams' former OC. Kirk Cousins, you can drop back, you can pass it to Jefferson, Thielen, KJ Osborne, hopefully Irv Smith. Dalvin Cook is still an effective runner, and the O-line has had their development, but still needs to fully step up. On defense, Harrison Phillips they brought from the Bills, Dalvin Tomlinson they brought from the Giants last offseason, Jalen Twyman is a guy they drafted last year. I don't think he played at all because he got shot unfortunately, but he is back ready to go. Daniel Hunter is a great edge rusher, not a bad defensive line at all. Linebackers, they brought in Jordan Hicks, they have Eric Hendricks. They drafted Brian Asamoah, who I really love. I love him, but it's like he's not, he's an interesting prospect because he wasn't very good at stopping the run, but he's really good in tackling. He's really fast and he can cover. And then Darius Smith is a huge signing. They stole him from a division rival. They even stole him from another team who signed him, the Ravens. And then secondary Patrick Peterson wasn't very good last year, but they brought him back anyway. Cameron Dantzler, I like. Shannon Sullivan, also from the Packers. Harrison Smith is still a very good safety. Lewis Cine drafted in the first round. And they also drafted Andrew Booth Jr. in the second round, who's more of a zone corner. So the secondary is I would say the most suspect piece on the Vikings the past couple years. They have to put it together if they want to stop losing these games that are close, because when the game is close and the other team's offense is on the field, that defense just gets shredded, and they need to hold up now. Even though I think they need more young pieces. I mean, Patrick Peterson isn't going to be doing it for long for them. Cameron Dantzler is not he's like corner 3, corner 2 type of guy. Andrew Booth Jr., I had his corner 5 in my class, or in this class in my rankings. Harris Smith, his time is not going to last forever, so they need Lewis Cine to, be a good pick and a good player. But the Vikings, I see them making. It's not like I've done my playoff predictions. I do have them right now. I'd say they are a playoff team. They are second in the division in my opinion. I think pretty easily. They're they're at least one. They're 2 tiers ahead of the Lions and Bears. Maybe 3 tiers above the Bears if you're talking about elite teams, bad teams, good teams, average teams. But I think the Vikings need to put it together. They got rid of Mike Zimmer. They got a new head coach. Their offense, they extended Kirk Cousins. They got him so many good stuff. He's been balling, but their team hasn't really been. Their defense has everything it needs to be good. I hope the Vikings do good next year. And first up, the Green Bay Packers. They lost Devontae Adams, but that doesn't mean that they'll just disappear into a bad team. Aaron Rodgers is still their QB. Jordan Love is stuck there. I mean, that's what they get. I mean, I'm not gonna feel bad for Green Bay. They should have known that was a stupid decision. But at the same time, Rodgers did end up not wanting to come back to Green Bay. So I guess their idea was if the situation that happened now didn't happen and he actually left, then they had Jordan Love. But it's not like he's been good anyway. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, really good duo. Alan Lazard, Christian Watson, Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, Amari Rogers, Romeo Doubs, Rico Gafford, Malik Taylor, I've never heard of him, and Juwan Winfrey. The receiver room, I understand that they have their worries, In past years, I feel like Packers fans have always been saying, not I feel like, but for sure, they've been saying, get more receivers, and this year it's different because it's not just saying get more receivers, like receiver 2, receiver 3, just like get a receiver 1, get a receiver 1. They definitely don't have a receiver 1. Sammy Watkins week 1 should be going off, but against the Vikings, they played the Vikings. Christian Watson, they drafted 2 receivers. Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson. Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb is a slot receiver, but no one's going to fill in for Devontae Adams. That's fine. You have Aaron Rodgers. I think they gave enough for Aaron Rodgers to work with, I think, in my opinion. Even though receiver 1, if they didn't have Rodgers, it would have been a huge need, but Rodgers can make anyone a receiver 1. Robert Tonyan is a really good tight end. Not really good tight end, but he's a touchdown machine. He got hurt last year. season-ending injury. That was unfortunate. Offensive line, David Bakhtiari with a bad injury last year, also unfortunate, but he is really good. Elton Jenkins, it says he's going to start at right tackle, but I mean, he's played like everywhere. I feel like he's played left guard, I think right guard, and now right tackle. Josh Myers, pickup from Ohio State last year in the draft. Center, left guard is John Runyon, never heard of him. Right guard is Royce Newman. They drafted Sean Ryan in the second or third round from UCLA. They played left tackle for UCLA, and they got Zach Tom. So, they made sure to beef up the offensive line. I think it's good. I mean, Elton Jenkins, David Bakhtiari are really good at their jobs, and I think Rodgers should stay fairly protected next year. Their offense should be good, as I mentioned. They have the guys who need to stay as a good offense. If anyone thinks that the Green Bay offense will be good last year or next year, they're probably just denying the fact that. I mean, they probably just hate the Packers. That's I don't know what to tell you. On the defensive line, on defense, Dean Lowry, Kenny Clark, Jerron Reed, Preston Smith. I think that I think that they pay the wrong Smith brother. And as I said about the Coras, I'm not sure if you guys are actually brothers or not. At first I thought they were. Now I don't think so, but I don't know for sure. They got Jerron Reed from the Chiefs. They paid the wrong Smith brother, as I said. I feel like they should have paid Zary Smith instead of Preston Smith. But he's still okay. Kenny Clark is really good. One of the best nose tackles in the league. He's a nose tackle, but still gets a lot of great production. They drafted Devontae Wyatt, who I thought was better than Jordan Davis in the draft from Georgia. I don't think he was the best defensive tackle in the class. I think that was someone else who is not in the division. But Devondre Campbell. Listen, when the Green Bay signed him, I'm like, this is a good signing. I remember it was right. They signed him in the 2020 offseason, right? Or 2021 offseason? Yeah, wait, I'm not sure now. But whatever offseason was that the whole Rodgers stuff was happening, it was 2020 offseason, yeah. They were talking about I'm sorry, it was 2020. I'm confused. Yeah, 2020 offseason, they signed Devondre Campbell, and people were like, oh, it's going to bring Rodgers back. Oh, yeah. But I'm like, okay, hold on. It's actually a good signing. It actually ended up being a good signing. They gave him a new extension. He's their middle linebacker. They drafted Quay Walker, a Georgia guy. I think that they should have drafted maybe a different Georgia linebacker, but, still got Quay Walker in the first round. They still needed some linebacker help. They still have Chris Barnes, though, who was an undrafted free agent in 2020. Was actually pretty good for them. And Rashawn Gary is like a rusher from, 3-4. He's also pretty good. He kind of came into his own. I thought, after his rookie year, he was going to be like possibly a bust, but he was really good last year, and he's going to only improve. Kingsley Mbarké also was a late-round pick. In the secondary, they re-signed Rasul Douglas. They don't have Kevin King anymore. They have Jair Alexander on a new contract. He only played I believe 3 games in the regular season last year, maybe 4. I think 3. And then Eric Stokes is the other corner. He was on the outside last year. Started some games, but also wasn't the full-time starter because of Kevin King. At safety, Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage are a good safety duo. So I like Green Bay's defense. They're gonna be really good. They have a good D-line. They have a good linebacking core. They should, and they have a good secondary. I think that Green Bay, they won't go down as a team. Their offense is still going to be good. Their defense is even better than it has been. This is even in the Packers in 2020 and 2021. Were really close to the Super Bowl, but ended up losing. Some of those playoff games. They have to make sure they win some of those important playoff games now, but they still have the offense to do it. And I think their defense is even better than what it was, and the rushing defense should definitely be improved from some of the worst units they've had over the years. So. I think Green Bay will win the division. I think that they are seriously in play for the 1 seed, and we should see Green Bay in the NFC Championship maybe. But regardless, they'll be in the mix for the Super Bowl next year. Let's see if they can put it all together, but they'll definitely be in the mix. But anyway, that was my rankings for the NFC North for the 2022 NFL season. I'm Martin. Thank you for watching.